Hi folks, and welcome to this week's Topical Deep Dive. And so a few weeks back, we spent some time looking over the current crop of budget streaming devices and explored the various reasons why you should and maybe should not consider buying one as your next go-to streamer. And so this week, we're going to spend some time exploring the other side of that coin and diving more in-depth into some of the pricier, higher-end streaming devices currently on the market. We're going to look at why they're more expensive, what sets them apart, why you might want one, and of course, why you might want to look elsewhere. So if you've got around $100 to $200 currently burning a hole in your pocket, and you're wondering if you should sink that all into a new streaming device, we hope these next few minutes help. This is why you should and shouldn't buy a high-end streaming device. What is a high-end streaming device anyways? Okay, so we discussed this a little in our budget streaming device video, but just to recap, there's no set-in-stone rules about what is and isn't considered a high-end streaming device. But generally, we're setting a rough line around the $100 mark. So if you see a streaming device with a price tag hovering around $100 or more, that's what we're considering a high-end streaming device for the purposes of this discussion. And with that in mind, we'll be focusing on several notable devices currently on the market, including the Roku Ultra, which usually runs for about $99.99 or so. Elsewhere, Amazon has its Fire TV Cube listed at around $120. There's also NVIDIA's Shield TV and Shield TV Pro line, which starts at $149 for the smaller Shield TV and $199 for the larger Shield TV Pro. And of course, there's the Apple TV lineup. And with the release of the second-gen Apple TV 4K, which we recently reviewed, that lineup includes the Apple TV HD at $149 and the new Apple TV 4K starting at $179. And we should also mention that the Roku Ultra was originally provided to us for free by Roku. Meanwhile, we purchased the Shield TV Pro and the second-gen Apple TV 4K with our own money because that's how we roll around here. In any case, regardless of how the device arrived on our entertainment centers, our opinions remain 100% our own. So with that baseline established, let's look at what these pricier streaming options can actually offer you. The best performance. So yes, budget price streaming devices are getting more and more capable every year. In fact, when we reviewed the Chromecast with Google TV and the Roku Express 4K Plus, we were really impressed with how well they did in our standard app loading performance benchmark. But for the smoothest, quickest, most hiccup-free performance, high-end streaming devices are still the best bet. The Roku Express 4K Plus may offer some solid performance considering its price tag, but the top-of-the-line Ultra still loads apps faster than any other Roku device we've tested. Amazon similarly claims its 2019 Fire TV Cube is the fastest, most powerful Fire TV streaming device. Meanwhile, despite not getting a hardware update since 2019, NVIDIA's Shield TV line remains one of the top performers in our benchmarks. We did note that Shield TV Pro's curiously slow loading of Netflix right after a system restart during our budget streaming devices video, but in everyday use, the performance is stellar across the board. And then there's a brand new second-generation Apple TV 4K. We reviewed the device recently and it promptly shattered our previous records in our app loading benchmark tests. So if you find yourself frequently shifting among different apps and you want to spend as little time as possible staring at loading screens, the new Apple TV 4K is the current performance champ. Future-proofing. Okay, this one kind of ties in with the generally better performance we just discussed, but one of the key advantages to investing in a high-end streaming device is future-proofing. The idea there is that as streaming apps and services get more and more advanced, they also get more and more demanding of the hardware running them. And that can show up as anything from longer app loading times to more sluggish responsiveness when scrolling through menus. So it stands to reason that the higher-end devices out there tend to offer more overall performance headroom, so that as apps get more and more demanding, they'll still have the horsepower to run apps pleasantly. Conversely, some of the lower priced options might run apps well enough for now, but might bog down in the future, if, say, memory and storage requirements outstrip what the device can comfortably handle. And you might have experienced this before as well, with streaming devices that you originally thought ran just fine back in the day, taking longer and longer to get to the apps you want now. It's one of the reasons, by the way, we're eagerly awaiting an update to the current Fire TV Stick 4K. The latest features. Aside from performance and potentially longer lifespans, these upper-end devices also tend to be where companies show off their latest and greatest features. Whether it's adding AirPlay support or Dolby Vision HDR or the upcoming spatial audio upgrade to Apple's tvOS, new features often find a home in the company's best devices first. So if having the latest feature set is important to you, looking into these higher-end streaming devices is often a good place to start. Going above and beyond streaming. Of course, one of the reasons why you might want to choose a higher end streaming device is for its capabilities beyond, well, being a streaming device. Some excel as smart home hubs, while others can do some transcoding work to serve as a local media server. In a lot of cases, it's another example of putting all that extra horsepower to good use, and two shining examples of that flexibility and multi-talented approach are the NVIDIA Shield TV line and the Apple TV 4K. On the Shield TV side, in addition to being a powerful Android TV streamer, the Shield TV also offers Android games as well as game streaming support, including NVIDIA's own GeForce Now service. And the device will soon offer access to Google's own Stadia game streaming service as well. On the local gaming front, the Shield TV can also allow you to play your home PC games streamed to your living room TV via NVIDIA's Game Stream or the Steam Link app. And on top of some impressive gaming skills, the Shield TV can also serve as a Plex media server. That allows you to connect, say, an external hard drive filled with your personal media library and then use the Plex app to stream that content to phones, tablets, and other devices. And on the Apple side, the Apple TV also offers some solid game options, including titles through the App Store, as well as Apple's arcade subscription service, and you can play your PC games on the big screen thanks to the Steam Link app. And beyond gaming, there's access to other Apple services like Apple Music and Fitness Plus, as well as tighter and tighter integration with Apple's HomeKit smart home tech. Overall then, if you're looking for a streaming device that has a few other tricks up its sleeve, a high-end option is definitely worth considering. But of course, there are several key reasons why you shouldn't consider these pricier, fancier streaming options, so let's go over those next. Higher prices. Well, yes, this one might be obvious, but it's surely worth stating just for the record. But yes, one of the biggest concerns when it comes to higher-end streaming devices is, yes, the higher-end price tags that usually come attached. All that extra performance and additional bells and whistles don't come cheap for the most part, so if you're less interested in fast app loading and fancy features, a $100 to $200 streaming device just might not be worth it. Feature overkill. Speaking of not worth it, all those fancy extra features we just went over, if none of those matter to you, then the case for a higher-end streaming device becomes considerably tougher. And that's especially true if you already have a streaming device for, say, your main TV and you're looking for something for a secondary display in some back room, office, or bedroom. A fully featured high-end streaming device just might not make sense in every use case. Meanwhile, with budget streaming devices getting more and more capable each year, good enough performance may in fact be good enough. So yes, depending on what you'll end up using it for, finding that sweet spot between the features and capabilities you want and the price you're willing to pay may end up falling into that budget category. And you should absolutely consider what you personally want to use a given device for, not just what the box says it can do. No sense wasting money on features you have no intention of ever using. Wrapping it all up. And so there you go. Those were some of the key reasons why you should and should not consider buying a higher-end streaming device. And just like with our look at budget options, there are plenty of other reasons out there. So if you've invested in some of these fancier streaming devices, feel free to share why you went that route in the comment section down below. Of course, conversely, if you've opted for a cheaper streamer like, say, the Chromecast with Google TV, Fire TV Stick, TiVo Stream 4K, or Roku Express 4K Plus, please do sound off in the comment section as well. For now though, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below, and stay tuned for more new content every week here on the Cord Cutters News Channel. And until next time, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care.